Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year to all, and welcome to our next miniseries, Hollywood's Finest Classic Musicals, which we've selected to celebrate the Forest Film Festival's first anniversary. Tonight's film is Singin' in the Rain, 1952, directed by Stanley Donen and Gene Kelly, starring Kelly, Donald O'Connor, and Debbie Reynolds. The screenplay was adapted by Betty Comden and Adolph Green from their Broadway play of the same name. The script was written after the songs, so Comden and Green had to develop a plot that would make them fit properly. The writers bought a house for their Hollywood stay from a former silent film star who lost his wealth when talkies came in. This incident became the inspiration for the film's plot. Most of the characters were based on real people. R.B. Simpson, the studio head, is based on Louis B. Mayer. Dora Bailey is Luella Parsons. Zelda Zanuck, the Zip Girl, is based on Clara Bow, the It Girl. The music was provided by Arthur Freed, who was both producer and lyricist, and Nacio Herb Brown, and the choreography by Gene Kelly. Walter Plunkett designed the costumes for all the dance routines, and there were hundreds of them. Singin' in the Rain was released to mixed reviews and received only 2 Oscar nominations, losing them both. Unfortunately, it came out on the heels of Kelly's An American in Paris, which won all the awards and was not the mega hit that had been predicted. However, contemporary critics have been kinder. Some have called it the greatest musical ever made, and others have said that it was the best musical to come out of the Freed unit at MGM. Pauline Kael, longtime critic for The New Yorker, said that this exuberant satire of Hollywood in the late 20s is perhaps the most enjoyable of movie musicals, just about the best Hollywood musical of all time. Today, the American Film Institute ranks it number 1 on its list of the 100 best movie musicals, and the performance in the Singin' in the Rain number by Gene Kelly is now considered a great classic. The film was moderately profitable, earning $7.2 million on a budget of $2.5 million. This was a period of change at MGM. Louis B. Mayer was on the way out, and Dore Schary was on the way in, which forced directors Donen and Kelly to deal with Arthur Freed, who was the producer charged with developing the roadshow musicals that MGM was putting out at the time. Freed had a good relationship with Mayer, who allowed him to make any musical he wanted, knowing that Freed was an expert on musicals and that he, Mayer, and Dore Schary were not. Plot summary. Singin' in the Rain is set in 1927 between the decline of silent films and the rise of the new talking pictures, which had a profound effect on many film industry careers. The film is about a movie within a movie. Comden and Green put 3 openings together in one film: a silent movie premiere, a magazine interview with a Hollywood star, and a star meets girl, star loses girl sequence. Don Lockwood and Lena Labonte are beautiful, charismatic, and influential, and are a dynamic duo on the silent screen. Sadly, Lena has an irritating, shrill voice, which proves to be a serious problem as talkies take over the industry. A lovely young studio singer named Kathy Selden catches Don's eye, comes to the rescue. While she lacks Lena's stardom, she does have a beautiful voice, which is what Lena needs most. Can Don and Lena find a solution to Lena's reasonable, irritating voice in order to salvage their careers? Fun facts about the film. 18-year-old Debbie Reynolds was Miss Burbank of 1948 when she was hired. She was primarily a gymnast and had had little dance training at the time. Arthur Freed and Nacio Herb Brown wrote Make 'Em Laugh for Donald O'Connor, which sounded suspiciously like Cole Porter's Be a Clown. There was some conjecture that Porter might have concerns about plagiarism, but he took no action. O'Connor had to walk up walls in that routine, leading to lots of sore muscles and shin splints. Much of the original footage was destroyed in a fire in a film vault and had to be reshot. forcing O'Connor to redo some of his most difficult routines. Freed used to keep a lot of change in his pockets, and the crew would always know when he was on set because he had a nervous habit of jingling it, and they could always hear him coming. Sid Charisse had just had a baby and had gained some weight before she arrived on set. She had to work out extensively to get back into shape. She also learned how to smoke cigarettes for her finale number. She had never smoked before and never did again. Charisse wore a 50-foot-long white China silk veil attached to her costume in her ballet number. They had to use a wind machine to lift the veil while she was in motion. A small portion of this sequence upset the censors and had to be removed because they considered the veil to be too diaphanous for the eyes of the U.S. audience. You can actually see an abrupt cut where the elision occurred. Debbie Reynolds' voice was dubbed in by Betty Noyes in the Would You and You Are My Lucky Star numbers. Several of the songs in this film had appeared in earlier films and were reworked for this movie, i.e., Singin' in the Rain appeared in the Hollywood Review of 1929, All I Do Is Dream of You came from Sadie McKee, 1934, and You Are My Lucky Star came from Broadway Melody of 1936. When Kelly was shooting Singin' in the Rain number, in which he splashes through puddles and gets thoroughly soaked, he was actually suffering with a 103-degree fever. Fred Astaire coached Debbie Reynolds in her dance routines to help her overcome Kelly's criticism of her dancing skills. Kelly drove her so hard that her feet were bleeding after shooting the Good Morning sequence. The dance routine for Make 'Em Laugh was so arduous that O'Connor was confined to bed rest in a hospital for several days after filming was completed. Most of the costumes Plunkett made for the film were acquired by Debbie Reynolds for her collection. In 2011, she sold many of them at auction. O'Connor's green checked suit and shoes from Fit as a Fizzle were acquired by Costume World and can now be seen in their Broadway Collection Museum in Pompano Beach, Florida. In the looping scene, Reynolds is seen dubbing the dialogue for Lena's character because Lena's voice is shrill and screechy. But it's not Reynolds' voice we hear, it's really Jean Hagen herself. Hagen actually had a beautiful, deep, rich voice. The Singin' in the Rain number had to be filmed when neighboring homeowners were not at home because so much water was used that the water pressure dropped in the surrounding houses. The last shot for the Good Morning number, where Reynolds, O'Connor, and Kelly jump over the couch, took over 40 takes to complete. Kelly choreographed the Broadway ballet sequence to camouflage the fact that Charisse was 4 inches taller than he was. They were never upright when standing beside each other. Instead, they bent either toward or away from one another. The movie begins with the premiere of Don's and Lena's film, The Royal Rascal, a black and white silent film. Some of the footage was taken from MGM's 1948 color silent film, The Three Musketeers, with the color removed and title cards added. Jean Hagen based her portrayal of Lena on Judy Holliday's performance in Born Yesterday. The film's 1963 TV premiere on NBC had to be postponed 1 week so as not to conflict with the coverage of the Kennedy assassination. A drawing of Marion Davies, who was a star at MGM from 1924 to 34, hangs on the office wall of director R.B. Simpson. Debbie Reynolds had to rub her eyes with onions to get herself to cry on cue in the scene at the end of the movie where Kelly tells the audience that Kathy is the real star of The Dancing Cavalier. In the Broadway ballet dance number, there's a segment which shows Kelly and other dancers on a conveyor belt. Meanwhile, on a parallel conveyor belt, 60 extras dressed as big city dwellers and frozen in different positions speed by. Things to look for. O'Connor's famous walking up the wall dance sequence in the Make 'Em Laugh number, and his green checked suit from the Fit as a Fiddle number. Walter Plunkett's numerous beautiful costumes, the famous Broadway ballet sequence, particularly the scarf dance, and the conveyor belt sequence. The even more famous Singing in the Rain sequence, in which Kelly gets sopping wet. The Good Morning sequence, the Good Morning sequence in which Kelly, O'Connor, and Reynolds jump over the couch, look for parodies of real people in the movie industry in the 20s. Kelly's lines in The Dueling Cavalier, which reference those that ruined John Gilbert's career when talkies came in. Marion Davies' portrait on the wall in R.B. Simpson's office, references to real Hollywood locations, and Reynolds' hard-earned onion tears in the final scene. Now it's time to view Singing in the Rain. Sit back, settle down. Please remember it may take a few minutes for the film to roll. Enjoy.